Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen Scarlet Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe with a single mother's esoterical reading and analysis. Okay, now I ain't gonna say no lie to you. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. There will definitely be some very touchy subjects that are subject to come up, okay? Motherhood and having kids, all of that is a touchy subject and a touchy experience within itself. So, please, strap on your seat belts, get everything you need to keep calm and open to the enlightenment, because everything that I will say and deliver from the divine realm is indeed with the love of divinity, okay? I mean, you are the best. And without further ado, let's get into. Now, when I say single mothers, I do indeed mean those who do not have the support, be it financial, be it presence, be it emotional, all of that. You have absolutely little to no support from the biological father of your kids. I don't just mean that you're not married, I mean you have little to no support from the father of your kids. Now, this can be open to those of you who still have a relationship of any kind with your child's father, but consider this is for women whose kids, in particular, the kids that y'all have together, are not supported by the father. Because I do understand that there are situations where some women will continue to be cordial with the father or even maintain a sexual relationship with the father, you know, or, just maintain verbal contact with the father, calling yourself, leaving the door open for if and when he wants to step up. So if that's also the case for you, y'all exchange words, y'all exchange energy of any kind, but he is not supportive of the kids. He's not active with the kids. He's not a provider for the kids. Okay? So if that's the case for you, this is indeed the reading for you. So I hope all of that makes sense. And with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the meanings and messages of this her layout and sesh. And let's also keep in mind that this is a reading for the collective. So take what resonates and remain patient and open when things may not make the most of sense yet. We're going to work it out. So we're starting off with the Surrender to the Divine card, which is also the full moon. So this is about completion and this is about new beginnings. And even more specifically, this is about you all as a collective getting more of an understanding and more in the state of surrendering to the divine, being more faithful, practicing more faith, practicing being more fearless, limitless, doubtless, thinking big and thinking optimistic, thinking realistically, but also knowing that you are taken care of by your divine realm. So there's also a lot of reflection that needs to happen concerning the different times where your divine realm came through for you, specifically in times where you maybe have even had near-death experiences. And childbirth and the process of pregnancy is a near-death experience within itself. So things of that nature that were drastic and traumatic in any way or shape or form, reflect on the way and acknowledge and appreciate how your divine realm has come through for you in those times. And that will remind your mind, body, and spirit that you are indeed always protected and provided for. Okay? So this is also allowing yourself to rest and allowing yourself to have a broader spectrum of things that bring you peace and that bring you happiness. Because this is definitely also all about letting go, and a part of that is also, breaking the habits, but also letting go of the attachments that you have to the patterns and habits that you are trying to free yourself from. And this is dealing with a lot about getting more honest about your feelings, getting honest about your feelings, and then also learning and committing to processing them and letting them go. Emphasis on process, understanding that most things, if not everything, is a process, and learning how to genuinely acknowledge, process, and healthily release your emotions. Oh my gosh, when I say it helps you in more ways than one, it brings you a whole another authentic level and sense of peace and happiness, like for real. And you definitely end up having much more energy because you work a whole lot of muscles in your face and in your body and in your spirit when you are irritable, wound up, sleep deprived, and acting out in anger. You use up a lot of energy. That's why you have to be choosy with your battles, because that stuff ages you, you know. Being angry and all of that, it ages you, it wears you out, it wears you down. So this is definitely about getting more resourceful and establishing more values and boundaries as it concerns what you're doing with your energy and what you're doing with your emotions. And that segues us into the Earth Warrior card, which is this big red one in the middle that has the bull skull on it, the purple clematis. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But that purple flower there, and we also see the moon phases, and there is like the booty of a butterfly at the top of the portrait. And we see the background is red. We got some pops of green. And let's talk a little bit about the different moon phases that we have on the card. So this in particular is pointing at, again, the fact that everything is a process and everything has different phases, different dimensions, and they all serve a purpose. So your divine realm is definitely wanting you all to get out of your head and get into your heart. Okay? And because basically you've mastered your own mind for the most part, now the neglect of your heart matters has started to cause, unnecessary issues in the functionality. So now it's time to get into your heart and trust your mind to protect you in the process. Because your heart and your mind are a team. And then, they have to work together, and you have to work them together in order to support each other, in order to protect each other, and essentially support and protect yourself. And a part of that is taking ownership and responsibility over your own self, over your own mind, body, and soul. And that really that really taps on the victimhood mindset and functionality, because I am picking up that many of you have indeed been done wrong. So people have victimized you, and definitely light, love, and healing to you all, and your feelings are valid. House and never, there is a need in order to get what you want and get what you need. You need to be for yourself what you feel like you deserve out of other people, and essentially what you deserve out of other people. That's a part of taking ownership, doing for yourself first, and not looking for the external gratification and not being externally reliant on people, even if they are, supposed to do something, because even though, people are supposed to do a lot, but they don't always do it. That's why each individual still has to remain responsible for themselves. And it's also why each individual has to be responsible for more, than just other people. So a part of this card, which this perfectly segues us into, is self-sacrifice, and sacrifices in general, which is what the bull and the cow symbolize. Those animal totems symbolize sacrifice in general and self-sacrifice in particular. And it's coming to me that many of you have been conditioned to sacrifice yourself in order to be there for other people, in order to make other people comfortable, in order to prop other people up and make them look and feel better. You've been conditioned to shrink yourself for other people, and essentially a part of the reason why you have been victimized so much in life is because you've been taught to abandon yourself. And of course, if you abandon yourself, you cannot protect yourself. Now, I'm not blaming you for what someone else did. That's just a part of your cross to bear. Because ultimately, in order for you to be conditioned to abandon yourself, that means that someone had to abandon you in the first place, which would essentially lead to your parents. One, both, and let's also keep in mind that abandonment is not just physical. So your parents can be there physically, but not be emotionally present or emotionally supportive. They may even, in fact, be the exact opposite. They may be emotionally manipulative and abusive, or just, what's the word? Apathetic, overtly nonchalant, overtly unbothered, overtly careless and reckless, to a point of spiritual, emotional, and mental abandonment and neglect. And that type of dynamic does indeed teach children that then grow into adults that their well-being is not as important as everybody and everything else. And it's some full circle shit. So, of course, it's about breaking cycles, but it's also about you gathering a better understanding of cycles and also seeing how everything literally connects and synchronizes in divine timing and divine design. Because while you need to consider the things that, the cycles that you need to break, things that you need to cut off, but you also need to consider that you need to maintain and evolve. Okay? So, in looking at the pathology and reflecting on, the history of your family and the dynamics and the culture, the spirituality, and all of that, there's also, let me just say this. So, many of you were blessed with children as a blessing and a lesson, okay? So, there are also lessons that you are having to transmute into blessings, okay? And this is, giving you a greater sense of empowerment. Bear with me as I break this down, okay? Because let's talk about this number 7. And the number 7 is lucky indeed. It's about infinite blessings. It's about duality. It's about an unorthodox or uncommon, extraordinary sense of balance, right? Because 3 is an odd number, 4 is an even number. They come together, they make 7. There are also, a plethora of other ways that you can get 7. So 7 is a very multidimensional number. So when you see the number 7, you should definitely expect an overflow of blessings. However, these blessings come with some work and with some frustration and very deep triggers. So how bad do you want it type blessings? But the thing about it is, everything is divinely aligned with your values. And you've been taken through different experiences that have given you a clear view of your values. Now, some of you may need to do more reflection in order to, make it even more clearer for yourself and get, even more intentional about it for yourself. But as of right now, in this state that you're in, your obstacles, your tests are divinely aligned with your values. So don't just think of the challenges that you've been experiencing as obstacles, shit in your way, shit to get on your nerves. Also, acknowledge that they get on your nerves, but also recognize that the key is within your values. And your values is essentially what's in your heart. And like I said, this will get clearer to you once you purge your emotions. And for many of you, this is going to be a kind of little by little process, but the more consistent you are about it, and the more optimistic you allow yourself to be, and the more you allow yourself to enjoy the process, the more, how can I say, the more the pace will pick up, the more the pace will pick up with your progress and your blessings, and they will come through bigger and bigger and bigger, because you're starting to function from a place that is higher and higher and higher. Therefore, you're starting to think and imagine bigger and bigger and bigger. And with all of that being said, further elaborating on the part about you being given kids as a blessing and a lesson, this is because, like I said, many of you were taught to value everyone and everything else over yourself. And you function like that for a very, very long period of time. So where it's become, quite a heavy challenge for you to basically break that people pleaser habit. And so the divine realm is presenting a different sense of duality through your kids, whereas they are an extension of someone else that you collabed with, combined with. But they are also an extension of you. So what you do for them is consequently also what you do for yourself, and what you do for yourself is also consequently what you do for them. So that also means what you do to yourself is consequently what you also do to them. What you do to them is also what you consequently do to yourself. And with all of that being said, as much as you need to take care of your kids and make sure that they have everything that they want and need, you got to also recognize and realize that they won't ever have the most valuable parts of what they want and need if you are not fulfilling yourself and pouring into yourself what you want and what you need. Because many of you may think, oh, I don't have time, I don't have the support to do that, this, that, and the third. But allowing yourself to defy those odds, make time, find a way to do such a thing, teaches your kids effortlessly, just through the act, teaches your kids boundaries and also self-love in a whole nother sense than what many of you are able to fathom at the moment, because you haven't experienced that yet. And this is reiterating another aspect of process, heavy emphasis on trusting the process, enjoying the process, understanding the process, and just being present in the process, taking note of the process. Because with that, we have to pinpoint that every little bit counts, every little thing adds up. So, in the midst of the reflection, you're reflecting on how all the little red flags that have been ignored built up to create monsters. Reflecting on how all the little things built up to create toxicity and just trash ass shit and trash ass behavior. But not only that, in the midst of your process of edification and enlightenment, it's necessary and a requirement at this point for you to also pinpoint how all the little things add up to make the best of you and the best that is in your life, even if it's not on the quantity of what you want right now. Give intense acknowledgement and appreciation to the things that are of quality right now and the things that have been of quality in the past. Cherish the moments of those memories and allow yourself to be adorned by them. Because not only is that doing a service to you individually and mindlessly, but that also does a service for your divine realm. That clears obstacles for them. That makes it easier for them to do what they need to do and what they want to do and have already planned to do for you. Remember me saying the more that you commit to it all, helps your blessings to overflow faster and in greater quantities as you continue to let all the little things build up. And have faith in knowing that all of your good efforts will be reciprocated one way or another. And blatantly, another reason why all of that is being brought up is because, in particular, specifically those of you that have boy children, you don't want to create a perspective or lend to a perspective building with your kids, particularly sons, where they think that women are just supposed to take on everything, where they think that women are just supposed to constantly chop themselves away in order to get through life, in order to get an ounce of anything, in order to uplift other people, you don't want to show them that, because you may say a lot of things, but if you make yourself a work mule to life, if you make yourself a slave to the thoughts and opinions, or to the relationships in your life, including the relationships with your children, you end up teaching your children that women are work mules for people to just suck off of and ride on and use as tools of masturbation and convenience, you know? And with that being said, there's also some deep trauma there where you have felt used, or you feel used significantly, drastically, to a point of exhaustion, as if thousands of leeches have just been sucking on your blood for years and years and years. And this is lending towards pushing you pushing you to really make an effort to release your baby father. So, before we get deep into that particular sentiment, let's discuss again more symbolism within this Lena Earth Warrior card. So, in simple terms here, also, this card is representing a spirit guide that particularly fights on your behalf. And the animal totems, which I pointed out, which obviously the cow slash bull, skull, and the butterfly, which are present here, are ultimately our animal totems here. So another symbolism that is coming through for this particular card, as it concerns the cow and as it concerns the butterfly, they both are symbolisms of duality, multi-dimensions, which ultimately encompass the spectrum of gender. So this is, and I'm getting the purpose of this message is to establish a clear view of the meanings of words and the imagery and emotion attached to them, which in turn mean the clear perspective of balancing and having the duality of masculine and feminine energy. And like I said about the mind and the heart, how they work together and protect each other and support each other. When they go at it, it's a mess, honey. It's a mess. When they are in conflict, everything is a mess. There's a time and a place for conflict. But like I said, heavy emphasis on being more resourceful with our energy and with our being more protective of yourself, being more mindful and supportive and loving to yourself and of yourself. And with that being said, you're being taken through cycles and processes that are teaching you and teaching you how to teach yourself the time and places which to use your feminine and masculine energy, both individually and in unison. And this will heighten your sense of alchemy and your ability of alchemy. Because when you're a fertile person, if you have the ability to get pregnant, you do have a strong sense of alchemy. And so when the masculine and feminine come together, it creates magic, okay? But of course, the magic and the miracle and the love of it all, it comes with the process, right? Of being pregnant for 9 months, going through all the highs and the lows of that, the new experiences of love and beauty, the heightened experiences of love and beauty, but also the heightened experiences of fear and anxiety and traumatic memories that are associated with the fear and anxiety. And you know, the other catch on and residual emotions that come with that. And all of that comes together to create the composition, the being, the uniqueness that is your kids and that will come from your kids. And it ain't always going to be good, but it ain't always going to be bad either. And that's a grand point that's being brought up in the gathering of the understanding of processes here too. The main and probably the only consistency in life is change. That's that card ain't here, but that just reminds me of the Wheel of Fortune card, which essentially is the like amalgamation of that, you know, the imagery, the portrait, the concept of one of the only consistencies in life being change. Those that are at the bottom will at some point be at the top. Those that are at the top will at some point be in the bottom. But there are different levels and different dimensions to everything. So you have to recognize that you have options. And the options can sometimes be overwhelming, but that's where loving yourself and being in tune and committed to yourself comes in handy. Because then you get more resourceful with your decisions and your actions. And like I said, how you use everything that you are and everything that you have, which creates a grand sense of faith and trust in yourself. And the more you build trust with yourself, the more you will attract people that you can trust. Now let's talk about the releasing of these baby fathers. So what is meant by that is that, first of all, I'm sensing that a good amount of you have been doing court breaking rituals on your baby father to like release yourself of the residual feelings, the emotions, the anger, the resentment, and for some of you even the love. And let me iterate real quick that you don't need to not love your baby daddy. You just got to change the way that you love. You got to change your understanding of what love is and what love means. And love is not enabling. Love is not constantly giving your energy away, which leads to enabling, you know? Love is sometimes telling truths that people don't want to hear. Love is sometimes acting upon truths that people don't want to face. And that includes with yourself. Because some of you are having a hard time coping with the death of y'all's relationship. And for some of you, y'all haven't been separated, i.e. not together or whatever, not on good terms for very long. For some of you, it hasn't been but a short period of time of that. And for some of you, it's been, quite a bit of time. And you're still having a hard time accepting that the romantic element is over, the sexual element is over, maybe, or the sexual element needs to be over, child. But a lot of you are having a hard time coping with the changes in the dynamic and coping with the fact that what you thought they could and would and should be is not who they are and may not even be who or what they want to be. Because essentially, I'm not going to tell a lie to you, a lot of you, your children's fathers, have a lot of identity issues for a multitude of reasons that you don't need to make yourself responsible for. And some of you are feeling pulled to constantly engage with them, constantly try to leave that door open, constantly, fuss at them, cuss them out, take what resonates. All of it may resonate for some of it may resonate for some. None of it may resonate in that particular way. It may come out for you and, your experience in some different way, because some things are case by case. But it's a general consensus of accepting that things are not ideal, accepting that things are not the fantasy that you dreamed of. And for some of you, it's not even necessarily that you, on a subconscious and spiritual level, want that fairy tale experience with your baby daddy. It's just the fact that there are children involved and the way society conditions us. There's just still this thing racking in the back of your mind, which could be a pathology haunting you, and could be the thoughts and opinions of different loved ones and different elements of society and this and that, racking your brain with, I have to do this because this is my baby daddy. I have to do this that way because I have kids with him and this and that and the third. But child, and I'm gonna put it up one way or another. I'll either put it up as a slide in this video, or I will drop the link or some links in the comments of some scriptures in particular that talk about deadbeat fathers and deadbeat people in general, to help bring some enlightenment and understanding to help you release this this demon, because the frequency is quite demonic that is surrounding them. And even in not just the Bible but spirituality in general, men who abandon their families and neglect their families, they are considered worse than those. They are on a frequency of those worse than demon time, if you will, honestly, are those that don't believe, because it's just like, how dare you create something and not tend to it? That is the ultimate level of disrespect to everything that exists. Because all of us exist, and everything that is a resource, everything that is an imagery, everything that is an obstacle, everything that we stand on, the ground that we literally stand on, is a result of creation. So when you engage in something so divine and so grand as creating a child, creating legacy, and you abandon, neglect, and or abuse it, it's the ultimate spit in the face to, like I said, everything that is. And your divine realm wants you to know that and recognize that, because they want you to know on a soul level that justice is being served and justice will be served. It's another thing all at the same time that you also have to give to yourself. You have to give justice to yourself by being graceful and even more loving with yourself, because it's not your fault that they're fucked up, and you're doing exactly what you need to do and then some, and you have to give yourself credit for that. You have to. It's a complete disrespect to yourself if you don't. Hey, my loves, I felt the need to break this up into two parts in order to deliver it in delightful doses. So, if you don't mind, please tune in to part 2 to get the most of this message. I greatly appreciate you all, and I'll see you on part 2. Mwah.